So we're going to be calling this segment Bullshit Boomer Financial Advice That You Should Definitely Be Ignoring. And I'm sure we've all seen this meme of this guy. Oh, that's just such an inane thing to say. These are 6 pieces of financial advice you should ignore from older generations.
Ugh, boomer.
Boomer.
You know, the one that's so important for me is we should caveat this right up front and say, you know, this I don't think is intentional on their part. They're not trying to scupper you. And so because some of the older generations grew up in very different economic circumstances, some of their advice hasn't necessarily shifted. But that's not to say that all the financial advice that they may offer is bad. Always having a budget, always living below your means, that's going to be true for the rest of time. Relying solely on saving for wealth. Now, when it comes to saving in order to build wealth, I think this really is kind of an indication of how the economic circumstances that we were both kind of operating under have changed.
Right, let's save our money.
And you know, you see this kind of quite a lot on YouTube. If you want to be a millionaire, just give up drinking coffee and just like, seriously, another one of these idiots.
I can save all of us, and we can save money.
You know, this is from The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. While saving money is essential, relying on those savings as a wealth building tool, you know, just might not be sufficient in today's world. Relying on savings might not generate the significant returns that you need, and so exploring other investment opportunities,
management, financial portfolios,
can be an effective way to build wealth over the longer term. In his book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, Emmett says the key to building wealth is not just saving money, but also investing it wisely. Ignoring investing in the stock market. Historically, there's been a belief that investing in the stock market is risky or is reserved just for experts, but
gambling.
Over time, the stock market has proven to be, a strong source of returns, and neglecting the potential benefits of investing in the stock market can limit your opportunities. So make sure you're educating yourself and consider it as part of a comprehensive financial strategy. Warren Buffett has said the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient, and this is cut from The Intelligent Investor. And John Bogle said, the stock market is a long-term game.
Oh, long-term, definitely.
If you don't think you can handle a 20% decline in your portfolio, you shouldn't be in the stock market. And this is from the Little Book of Common Sense Investing. You look at the plethora of apps that are available and startups that are really making it easier to invest in the stock market than ever before. And it doesn't have to be like some, yeehaw casino where everyone's just sort of,
My casino is where you belong.
20 million on red or whatever. There are perfectly sensible ways that you can invest in the stock market, avoiding debt entirely. While excessive debt can obviously be bad for you, not all debt is bad, and there are situations where, like investing in education, starting a business, or buying a home, where taking on manageable and strategic debt can be beneficial.
What do you want?
Financial advice?
In The Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, there's this really important point which they discuss in the book, which is, how debt is a tool, and like any tool, if it's used effectively, then it can be absolutely to your benefit. But the important thing is not to start using debt as a crutch. The idea of saying that a payday loan is the same as a low-interest mortgage, if you can find one of those these days, the idea that saying those two are the same is just completely nonsense. And so, as always, you really need to be analysing the type of debt you're getting into, what you're borrowing this money for, and how it's going to ultimately contribute towards your financial security and your financial future. Mehmet Satty said, debt can be a powerful tool for building wealth as long as you apply it wisely. If you can get into low interest debt, then you can use that to invest in assets that will appreciate in value over time. And so it's important to evaluate the purpose, the interest rate, and the repayments that are going to be associated with the debt. Sole reliance on a single income source. Relying on a single income source can leave you vulnerable to financial instability.
Financial difficulties.
And in today's kind of job markets, having multiple income streams such as side gigs or freelancing or investment income can provide you with more stability and basically enhance your overall financial security. In the 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss talks about, he says the key to financial freedom is to automate your income and outsource your work. This way you can have less work and more life. We have a video, link is in the description below, talking about how you should be asking for a raise. And I think this is another kind of really important aspect which isn't discussed enough, so make sure you check out that video. Believing that home ownership is always the best investment. While home ownership can be a sound long-term investment in many cases, it's not always the most financially advantageous choice to make. There are factors like the local housing market conditions, your personal circumstances, and financial goals that you need to be considering. Now, personally, I'm a fan of owning a home, but there are other variables that you need to look at.
Who bets against housing?
Now, I sort of go back and forth on this home ownership issue. In my view, home ownership is always going to be superior to renting for a whole host of reasons. Least of all, you're paying someone else's mortgage plus interest. Why would you not be building equity in your own home? The analysis of home ownership isn't right for you kind of is a bit basic. Really the analysis should be consider the type of home and how much you want to spend on it before you buy it. buying a big fancy house so you can say you have a big fancy house, or
It's this big, old, ugly, spooky house.
buying on the most expensive road in your town just so you can say you live on the most expensive road in your town is not really a worthwhile strategic investment.
No crib on MTV.
It goes back to kind of that older saying of buy the nicest house you can afford in an okay part of town. The thing about home ownership for me is you have to be more specific with the analysis. I think it's absolutely sound to say that buying a house that's too big for you, that's too expensive for you, that's in an area that you don't necessarily need to live in, is a much more comprehensive way of looking at it, disregarding the importance of financial education.
And you're in no position to give financial advice.
In the past, financial literacy was not prioritised as much as it should have been, and so in today's kind of complex financial world, understanding personal finance concepts like investing, budgeting and debt management are really crucial for achieving financial security, and neglecting those can lead to missed opportunities or costly mistakes. And this is the most important one for me, hands down, and this will be true for the rest of time. We'll be flying around in spaceships, and this advice will still hold true.
Ship's log, stardate 3220.3.
Tony Robbins says financial education is essential for achieving financial security. You have to understand the basics of personal investing, finance and budgeting. The more you know about it, the more likely you'll be to make sound decisions. In Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki says the most important investment you will ever make is investing in your financial education. And, I think this is spot on. If you don't understand the decisions you're making and you don't understand why you're making them, then it's really going to hamper your financial decision making. In the next few weeks, we'll do kind of a really back to basics video about investing in the stock market and how it's important for building your overall financial security and increasing wealth. So what have we discussed in this video? So one of the things we've talked about is how, some financial advice given by older generations is much less applicable to modern day times as it was to, when they were our age. But there is still plenty of financial advice which they can give which will always hold water.